You're looking at a snapshot of botanical time, a record, if you will, of the rare and medicinal plants that are growing in North Carolina.
Well, wow, let's see. We have bloodroot here, Sanguinaria canadensis. This is an interesting plant that has been long history, traditional history of use, especially in our region. This is black cohosh, Nictea racemosa, one of the top 10 selling dietary supplements worldwide.
And the list goes on. This is the Bent Creek Germplasm Repository at the North Carolina Arboretum. Germplasm, by the way, has nothing to do with germs. It means a collection of genetic resources for an organism, seeds in the case of plants. And that's what the researchers here are doing, building a long-term archive of what grows in the Tar Heel State. It's a dual-purpose mission, conservation and economic development.
The primary mission of everything for us is conservation. Our primary goal is to conserve our native flora, specifically medicinal plants, but also rare plants. And so our goal is to get those plants in a long-term seed storage facility in vacuum-sealed trilaminate packaging, stored correctly for long-term storage. And then after we store the plants in our site and at a second backup site, seed-wise, then we'd like to use the plants for research to produce potential new crops for our region, if appropriate.
I live in a constant state of wonder at how amazingly adapted and evolved our natural medicinary is in terms of all the different kinds of wellness needs that people have. The plant kingdom is already evolved these solutions, and our job is to understand how to bring them into our lives safely, responsibly.
Researchers want to preserve samples of about 2,000 plant species deemed significant to the state, like these, black cohosh and rudbeckia. However, the challenge is that there are usually more than one population of each species. Roughly 1,500 plant specimens are now preserved at the repository. Scientists hope to collect and preserve about 2,500 additional plant samples. And there's a sense of urgency here. Dr. McCoy says the state is losing some critical habitats, such as the spruce fir zone at the top of mountain peaks. What grows in those areas could soon be gone forever.
As you know, changing temperatures with global climate change, and also rare and threatened habitats. It's very important at this point in time to change our conservation missions and get as many seeds into long-term seed storage facilities as we can in order to preserve them for the long term.
And the repository protects those native plants in multiple ways. This is a voucher specimen in which the plant is pressed, mounted, and labeled with GPS coordinates, elevation, and slopes. If there are enough plants, the seeds are also collected. Researchers only collect about 15 to 20% of the plants in an area. If there is enough material to collect, samples are also ground up so that a variety of extracts can be produced. That includes a powdered extract that is packaged and can be used for future research. Material is also processed in a lab so a DNA sample can be recovered. The lab is part of the Bent Creek Institute, which is helping to grow the region's natural products industry.
We need to have a practical application associated with our project, so this is a perfect way to do conservation, which is our primary goal, but also to do research.
You need to be developing a reference library of extracts of natural chemistries that some of which are traditionally known and well understood for centuries, but many of which are not yet known, and you have to start somewhere.
And in what might be the most obscure part of the project, researchers want to collect and preserve the endophytic fungi, or the beneficial microbes that live inside the plant and protect it from diseases and other environmental stresses. Scientists believe the promise of new medicines and natural products live inside those cells. So why put the repository here in Asheville? Well, for one, because this area, the southern Appalachians, because of its terrain, has a lot of what are called microclimates. That means the weather is different from that peak to that peak to that valley. That creates a lot of different habitats, and that creates great biodiversity. And that produces a wide variety of plants and trees and shrubs and flowers all living in this area. And finally, there is a long history of using all that biodiversity for natural medicines, dating back to the Native Americans. It's a project that preserves the past and the present and prepares for the medicines and the economy of the future.
So in coming to the mountains and seeing the riches that are here biodiversity-wise, and seeing that we have a region that's pretty much protected its biodiversity because of public lands and because of the fact that we didn't have a lot of development over the past century, it seemed to make sense to think about how can we make sort of the economic side of this help really be a forerunner to conservation. How can we make the plants of the region important economically so that people are motivated to protect them for an economic reason as well as a social and cultural reason?